Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In today's video I will be changing the oil gaskets on this car. There are quite a few of them, so I'm going to grab them together and then we can go through all the parts. Right, so these are the bits that I've got. First of all, this is my oil filter, which I'm not fully 100% confident that I bought the right one. So we may get to that and realise it doesn't fit, but let's hope not. I've got the 4 spark plugs. Because I'm keeping this car standard, I haven't gone for anything super special, but they'll be fine for the job. I've got my oil pressure sensor. This is because when we were driving the car back, the light was coming on and off, and although it was low on oil,
what light was going on and off?
The oil light. Sorry. Well, that's thrown me. So yeah, so I thought I'd change it because just in case it was that, and we've got it all out, we may as well do it. Then we've got the thermostat and housing we will be changing. This is actually my favourite thing we've got because it looks like it's going to be super squidgy and absolutely is not. It's messing with my mind a little bit, but that is the crankshaft O-ring gasket thing. We also have, this is the O-ring that goes behind the supercharger for the coolant. We've also got 2 slightly smaller ones for the oil filter. They're not for the oil filter? What are they for? I thought that you said me like 100 times that they were for the oil filter. These are going to be a little surprise. If you carry on watching the video, we'll all discover where they're going. This is the oil filter housing gasket thing, which when they arrived new, they're all really squidgy. And when we changed one from one of our track cars, it was completely solid. So I am intrigued to know what the condition of this one is when I take it out. We also have the rocker cover gasket and the 4 spark plug seals. The sump gasket, this one I will be probably starting with because I have been told it's going to be not very particularly easy and absolutely definitely not tidy, so let's get ready to start with. And then this last but not least is the crank position sensor O-ring. This actually came as part of the supercharger service kit, so that will be nice to get that job completely nicely finished. Let's go and get loads of gloves and get really messy. So I am fully aware that this looks pretty dire at the moment, however it is going to make a really good before and after picture. My first job though to do the sump will be to be undoing this one and this one. They're both 13mm. There may be a third that I can't see, but we will get to that in a minute. I'll be dropping this down, then lifting this radiator and extra bits back up, and then removing the tyre underneath it. There's a bucket as well underneath the car. Getting all of that clear so that I can get to the sump a bit better. Cue the fast forward. Okay. Turns out I'm tight. Let's do that again. Cue the fast forward. So there was a third indeed underneath here. This isn't probably the best angle to be able to have a torch the tools 2 humans, but let's get this one off. So I've just had a look underneath the car. I wasn't sure how many, and then I realised actually I can just count my way along. So obviously undo each of these. I've checked, the straight edge is the driver's side, so I can count my way back. Obviously, once I have loosened these, it is going to be heavy, but there are 4 more bolts here at the back. They are 13mm, so I will be undoing those, but then obviously it's going to be heavy. So let's get cracking. It's also absolutely filthy, so these gloves are not going to look like this in a minute. Sorry guys, I forgot to mention, these are the transmission bolts that are the passenger end of the sump. They are really tight, hence the air gun, but they do need to come off to release the sump. So, as is probably already evident, I am not the strongest person in the world, so we positioned the jack underneath the sump, kind of as a hope and a support that it was going to land on it. As you can see in the video, I sort of semi-drop it, but it would have worked had I positioned it dead centre. So it may help you, it may not. So the gasket itself actually stayed on the car whilst I was taking off the sump. So I used a small screwdriver just to create a lip, and then with that you could then pull down and take away the gasket. Look what we have here, guys, officially off. It was ridiculously more difficult than I had expected it to be, and far more grubby. So on my 10th pair of gloves we finally got it off. Overall there was just basically oil everywhere. My goal is to get it all cleaned up before we attempt to put a new gasket on. However, when we took it off, this one here has, I don't know what that's done, but that's been on an adventure all of its own. And these were the ones that were leaking really, really badly. I think when we go back through the video, there were a few when I actually pulled them down, the actual bolts themselves are dripping oil, and it was from these ones. So I'm hoping we may have discovered where it's from, or at least found at least a massive culprit. So let's get to cleaning this bad boy. So while the sump was off, we decided to use the opportunity to give it a good old clean. We did this using engine degreaser with blue paper towels, sponges, scourers, toothbrushes, rinsed it out, and then we used brake cleaner. So it kind of had a lot of attention. Unfortunately though, I cannot seem to find any video footage of it all clean, only photos, so you'll have to kind of make do with those. Absolutely disgusting. I'll get some other pictures, but I do kind of want to have a clean up of all around here. It's absolutely gross. It's really, really horrible. So yeah, I'm going to sit down here with a little blue paper towel, get the worst of it off, and then come back with a paper towel with some engine degreaser and try and get this looking slightly less grubs. I shall see you in probably about 4 years once I've finished.
Filth under here.
have I got on me?
Low.
What have I got on me?
Big old blob of goop.
Where?
Right on your snout.
There. Oh, it's wet.
Why would you use a really dirty tissue to clean your face?
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
I had tried to clean the power steering pump fan whilst it was still on the car, but to be honest it was so disgusting it kind of wasn't really worth it, so I took it off, did the exact same with the engine degreaser and the brake cleaner, my little trusty toothbrush, and it actually came up looking brand new. Even the stickers weren't even peeling off, they looked really good. So, here is my new gasket. Okay, I couldn't remember whether these went upwards or downwards, but they go upwards. And they sort of semi-clip into place, so when I'm under there I can pop it on before I attach the sump. Flat edge towards me. Okay. Well, it sounded good that the gasket would stay up there by itself, but no matter what we did, no matter how hard we pressed it, no matter how gentle we pressed it, it just would not stay up for us. So in the end, we kind of held the sump, held the gasket, and positioned it until they were both straight with each other, neither of them were twisted, and we popped in the bolts just to hold it in place. After this, that's where we torqued them. That was pretty much the easiest way that we could do it. The torque settings for these bolts was 31 Newton meters or 23 foot-pounds. Then I could pop my nice clean power steering pump cooling fan back on. All going swimmingly until I moved my head and torch and realised that my drive shaft boots were also broken. So this would be at the very least an MOT advisory. I bought myself 2 new drive shafts from J&R. I'll pop the link in the description below. These are excellent value and I will do another video on how I fitted these coming up. Next up is the oil cooler. There are 4 Torx bolts that are quite difficult to get to, so you will need several extension bars to fiddle around with. And then there are the 2 clips and hoses at the back, which you should just be able to pull off, and the oil cooler should come straight out for access to the O-rings. So, it's off. How much water does this thing hold? Every time I turn it. Anyway, I believe someone has told me that this is called compound, and I think it's used for sealing leaks, basically. Either way, it looks
Bodged.
I mean, it doesn't look great. So, what I am going to do is we've changed the oil cooler on our track car and kept it. That works and it's fine. So, I might just put that in the scrap heap, maybe. And what? I mean, seriously. However, it is, if you look inside, it is absolutely, I don't know if you can. So, looking at it even without the torch, it looked bad. Honestly, it is so grim down there.
What's this up?
Oh, did I show you these? I wanted to show you this. So, not only has someone attempted to fix whatever was leaking here, when I took this off, say it was on this one here, I'm not sure, but if it was, it's actually twisted. Can you see it's like, it's been bent. So, hopefully, second gasket, second leak. That's going to be every single one in it. Never mind, onwards and upwards. So, as you can see, I've put one new... Oh, for some unknown reason, it seems to want to just focus on another bolt, but one's in here. This one is to come. I'm just going to
wipe that oil out. It is really fiddly. There's absolutely no room to be able to record and have a torch and have two hands. So I shall put this one in, put the pipes back on, and then you will see once I have put it all back together again. And the oil cooler is back on. It's kind of difficult to see, and it's kind of difficult to move the camera around. It's kind of difficult to do lots of things, including put these clips back on. However, done and dusted. On to the next one.
Okay, for the next one, it's a bit of a brain teaser. So I have to take out 2 bolts here at the back. There is a white wire as well to be careful of. Once I've taken those, I can then move this heat shield. Once I'm underneath there, I should be able to take out the old oil filter and have a look at it. Because it's off this car, I'm going to say no doubt it's probably on its last legs. Once that's off, by using my low profile socket, it's been on the side for ages, I'm quite excited about using this. Once that's off, we can then take out the oil filter housing. This comes into it at some part, this 27mm bad boy. Once we're underneath there, we should be able to change the oil pressure sensor with this. Flowing so well. Also, while we're down there, I have actually got 2. So both of these Euro car parts have told me are suitable for the car, but they look completely different. Excuse me. So hopefully we'll find that out too. I'm not going to tell you how many takes that took. There's one here, and then somewhere around here is that wire that I was talking about. Let's get these off.
Oops, sorry, I forgot to say, these are both 13mm bolts, and removing the heat shield kind of comes with its own caveat of the fact that you probably will scratch your arm. So, heat shield was here, now here. This is where I will be putting my little socket hat. That will go over the top of that. Once I've taken this off, this hat will then come off and my oil filter should come out. I have some tissue on standby. I'm not really sure how messy it's going to get, but hopefully not too messy. So it may just be a fluke, but we've never had massive issues with these oil filter housings, although some people claim that they are almost impossible to take off and have to use breaker bars and all sorts. So you may have to on yours as well. It just depends on how well it's been maintained so far. To be honest, I've never actually seen an oil filter crushed, so I have no idea whether it's just not been changed for so long or whether someone actually crushed it before they put it in or whatever, but I am really pleased that we've changed this one. So this is where my little oil filter helmet's just come off. I'm now going to take off, my finger's going to be in the shade, but this 10mm bolt. Once taking that off, I should be able to get the lower heat shield back far enough to be able to take out the housing. What is... oh, skin. I thought that was skin. Panic over. Okay, so we are now currently undoing the 3 13mm bolts that hold the oil filter housing, this thing here, actually on. So there's one roughly where my finger is, there is one directly below that, and there is one around the back. We've got the one around the back, we've got the one at the top, we're just left with the one that's directly underneath here, and it's crazy difficult. Lots of people say that you can't do this unless you are underneath the car with extension bars, etc, etc. So far we've proved them wrong, but I have no idea how we're going to get this last one out.
Which is the one that everyone goes onto the car for.
Well,
Because
yes.
everyone else does the rest from the top.
Oh, I see. Oh, so we're not actually... well, give us 10 minutes, guys.
So you can't really see, but Miriam has managed to do it from the top of the engine. She managed to fit her hand through the exhaust manifold and undo the bottom bolt. Absolute nightmare, but it is possible. I'm not sure how much of this you can see.
Well, to be fair, this is the main deal. And my poor arm is cut to absolute shreds.
But yeah, can be done from the top of the engine. So around the back of the oil filter is the gasket, or the oil filter housing.
Okay, I've just managed to get the lip of it off.
I can't actually see where it is because the hand gets in the way, but it's around the back.
So, not horrendous. It is actually still squidgy. I think that's the first thing I've taken off that I wouldn't instantly think bin.
Yeah. Right. Oil pressure sensor.
So, pressure sense time. This is what's on the bottom of that green thing here. That's what we will be taking out. To take it out, the green thing, which probably has a name, has a red thing, and you literally just push it, and from this side, and it will push it, and it will do that. Presumably, to close it, you do the same thing. But it should now pull off, but I do basically have absolutely no room at all, and I'm holding a torch and the phone, so I am gonna put one of you down and pick you back up in about 3 seconds once I've pulled that off. So once the green clip has been pulled off, you can then put your extra long deep socket, whatever you call them. So there's 27mm. It has to just basically be able to go over the top and still be able to undo the sensor underneath. One thing I would say though is that one of the guys on Facebook, when he came to pull off his clip, some of the sensor actually came away with it, so just really take care that your one stays intact until you get it out. Pop the new one back in. It's just essentially a reverse of what you've just done. My one wasn't actually in there that tight. It was kind of tight but not that tight, so I just did the exact same when I put the new one back in.
So, we are nearly there, guys. This is going to go back onto the car. Then the oil filter housing will be going back on. Honestly, I'm not going to record it because I got really quite emotional taking them off. It's really fiddly and really hard and really painful. So I'm going to put it all back together again and then join you again when I'm ready to find out which oil filter fits in this car. Guys, officially, the oil filter is back on, the housing bit. Basically, it's seriously a lot easier getting it on than getting it off. Hand on my heart, I think I did it in about 10 minutes. So, yeah, going over the top is fine, it's just painful. So, time to work out which oil filter I need. I have the old one to check. Kind of thinking it might be this one. So let's check. But hopefully both of them anyway will come with the O-ring that I need. Dirty hands. I mean, to be fair, that does look exactly the same. Let's get that one filthy. Or we've got... Ah, well, this one doesn't look the same. Or does it? It does actually. This one looks slightly more like that one.
Oh, what one?
This looks more like that one than that one looks like this one.
Yes.
Ip dip do. Anyway, whichever one we choose, we'll go back into this little helmet, which will then have this little hat on the top of it, screw it back on, and then the next time anyone asks me to change oil gaskets, I'm either going to pay someone or sell the car, because this is horrible. To confirm, the crossed one doesn't actually, that hole, I haven't taken it out of the pack yet, but that hole there that it should go into is a smaller hole, and this one with the bigger hole, the Bosch one, that does actually fit, and it fits quite snugly. So we're going to go with the Bosch over the Crossland.
But both apparently fit.
Apparently both fit.
According to Euro car parts is...
But I like this one because it's got black on it, so let's go with this one.
That's how all oil filters should be chosen.
So, new oil filter in, new O-ring on. So we are virtually there now. We have got the camera sense O-ring to do next and the thermostat. Then that is today's jobs over, because I will be doing the crank pulley O-ring when I do the cam chain, the same as the rocker cover gasket. And then that will be the end of all those hideous oil gaskets, and hopefully we've saved one leak. Let's try and finish this today. So next job will be to take off the cam sensor by undoing this bolt here, pulling it off. There'll be a little O-ring in there. Pop the new one in after giving it a little bit of a clean, and back on again. This is perhaps the only job that I've actually enjoyed doing. Having said that, I was about to tighten it. Still learning. Right, before the screwdriver police come out and lynch me, I am aware that that is not probably the correct instrument to use. It would be more ideal to use something like a pick. I don't actually have one of these yet. It is on my list of things to buy. So I was using the screwdriver. Just kind of ignore me. I didn't actually damage it though, safe to say. And it has gone back in absolutely fine. But yeah, just be careful if you are going to use a screwdriver. Home straight now, guys. So we will be taking off the bolt down here to take out the air box, or what's left of, so that we can replace the thermostat. The thermostat, actually, I can already see a little bit of red, kind of like what we had on this. So hopefully that's not masking yet another issue.
We hope.
I'm not really sure quite what's happened, but I seem to be missing any footage of me taking out the ECU. Essentially, you take off the cap, which will then reveal two of the connectors. Either side of those are tabs that you pull out, and then the connectors will be released, kind of like this image. So there's a couple of clips that need to be undone. I am awful at undoing these because long nails don't help, but I've done that one. So everything is now unclipped. That one came off relatively easy. This one, not so much, but we've just unclipped it as a whole. And there are three that I can see/feel bolts connecting the thermostat housing. So we'll show you. There's one there. There's like one up here, and then there's one slightly further down. Impossible to see really, but you can feel them. So the good news is that we are changing and adding a thermostat. The bad news is, for goodness knows how long, this car seems to have been running without one, which explains why the gauge was absolutely having a dancing fit. So how bizarre. So a little bit of a clean up all around it, and this is coming off. You undo the clip. It's these wonderful clips I absolutely hate and detest. Undo it, slot the new one back on, put the clip back on,
And there's the reverse.
and basically drill it, bolt it back on.
Boom!
So, made it a little bit grubby to start with, but only us know. So, we pop it back in. Thermostat is in, push all the way around to make sure it's all even. Pipes go back on, get it back onto the engine, and then we can all go in for a nice cup of tea / pink gin and lemonade. Oh my goodness, we're actually done. Can you believe it? Well, apart from those two that we'll be doing when we do the cam chain, the rocker cover and the crank pulley O-ring. So, but, oh my goodness. So I don't really know why it hasn't got a thermostat. I mean, I don't think it's absolutely compulsory to have it, but it had the little silicone plastic thing that it would sit in. So I'm not really sure where that's gone. And I really hope someone hasn't taken that out to hide another problem. But they probably have, because that's basically how this has all been issued. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you have found at least some of it informative, if not entertaining. Please like and subscribe, and come back for the next video, which I think will be the cam chain.